one thing is for sure. If you're planning to move your entire family to another country, you should sit down, do the math, and check the financials. Is it a sexy topic? Nope. Is it super important? Definitely. So my husband and I, we were a bit surprised about the actual cost of living in the United States, even though we did quite a bit of research beforehand. And that's why I thought it would be interesting to share a real picture of how expensive life can be in the US. America's Got Germans, and we are four of them. My name is Annie, and my husband, my two kids, and I, we moved from Cologne, Germany to Boston, Massachusetts in July 2021. But in my today's video, I won't talk too much about myself or my family because we were planning to talk about costs. Okay, costs of living are defined as the amount of money needed to sustain a certain standard of living by affording basic needs. That's why I will talk about costs for housing, costs for food, and insurance, as I feel those are the very big buckets and you should definitely keep in mind. But I will also upload a part 2 in which I talk more about costs for schools, costs for entertainment and sports, and other costs like clothing. If you're interested in that, make sure you subscribe if you haven't done it yet. Okay. Just before we get started, a very little disclaimer. As said, we are living in Boston, and Boston is a very expensive city. But to make sure you get the most out of my today's video, I did quite a bit of research, and I will always add a more general answer. So no matter where you're planning to live, you will know what to expect by the end of my today's video. Do I claim that everything is 100% correct? No, but I will try my best, and if you know more, please make sure to leave me a comment. That way we can all learn from each other. Just make sure your comment is respectful and is aiming towards helping others. All right, as said, costs of living in the United States vary significantly depending in which state you are living. And I found a map, you can see it up here, and that one is showing you which states are the most expensive. Those are the red ones. So besides Hawaii and Alaska, the Northeast, that's where we live, and the West Coast are the most expensive parts. The least expensive areas are the Midwest and the Southern states. The costs for housing are definitely increasing across the United States, and unfortunately, they are rising faster than wages do. The most expensive cities you can live in the United States are New York City, Los Angeles, San Francisco, Washington, D.C., and surprise, surprise, Boston. Well, we used to live in a, I would say, fairly average townhouse in Germany. We had a little backyard, and before we came here, we were looking for something comparable. Unfortunately, I have to tell you that the prices are not comparable at all. And at the end, to make a long story short, we ended up paying 3 times as much as we used to pay in Germany. As I said, Boston is very expensive, but so were the city we used to live in Germany, which was Cologne. Anyways, not all of you are planning to move to Boston or the Boston area. So to give you a more general answer to the question of what you should be prepared for, I went online and I found a website, and this one is telling me that on average the costs for housing are 45% more in the United States than in Germany. As you can see, internet connection is a bit more expensive, therefore water and electricity is less, but the big bucket, the rent itself, is definitely a lot more expensive. Somehow my gut feeling is telling me that 45% sounds very optimistic, so I would recommend to at least be prepared to double your rent once you move to the United States. Anyways, if you would like to get a very accurate number, the only way to find it out is to go online, check out one of the really big real estate websites, type in what you're looking for, and then just look at the results. One of the first things you do when you arrive in a new country is, of course, at one point you have to do some grocery shopping. And that's what we did on our first day. We went to a store close by, which happened to be a Star Market. And once we entered, we were a bit shocked. I mean, basically, we were joking that it's almost impossible to find any item below $5 in that store. And we were prepared to pay a little bit more, as we knew that Germany is one of the cheapest countries when it comes to grocery shopping, but we were definitely not prepared to pay that much more. After a few weeks and trying out different places, we were glad to figure out that Star Market is one of the more expensive stores, and there are definitely other options like Market Basket, and there's even an Aldi, which is not that far from our place, and a German Aldi, I mean, and we usually go there now to do our grocery shoppings. Oh, by the way, if you're interested in learning more about the differences between a German and an American grocery store, you should definitely subscribe to my channel, because I'm planning to take you grocery shopping with me. So yeah, I'm very excited already. Anyways, I was talking about price tags. So in general, fruits and vegetables are a lot more expensive in the United States. For example, an apple costs $1.75 in the United States, and in Germany it costs like 60 cents. So there's definitely a difference. There are other things like a Coke costs a lot less in the United States than in Germany. But well, to take a shortcut and not to talk about every single item, I went online and checked a few different websites, and they more or less told me the same, and they said that you should be prepared to pay 40% more for grocery shopping in the United States than you used to pay in Germany. And that sounds about right to me, and that's also what we experienced. And to give you a really clear picture, we are a family of 4, and we usually spend $200 per week for our grocery shopping. Guys, to be honest, and that's what we are known for, Germans are brutally honest, I'm not an expert when it comes to insurance, because we are still insured by a German company. It's a specific case, but I still wanted to give you an answer. That's why I did quite a bit of research, and I found out that the average annual cost of health insurance in the US are $7,470 for an individual and $21,342 for a family. However, the costs can vary a lot based on age and the type of plan you choose. Plus, even if you have an insurance, it doesn't mean that the insurance is covering for everything. Most of the insurances have a kind of deductible, and that means that you have to pay a certain amount before the insurance is paying for anything. The average size of a deductible in 2022 was $4,364 for an individual and $8,439 for a family. Combined with the annual cost, that makes $11,834 for an individual and $29,781 for a family. That's a lot of money. I mean, I was surprised. So there are some companies that offer health benefits to employees, but 44% of the firms do not offer insurance to their staff. So you either pay a private insurance or you don't have an insurance, right? I would also like to add my opinion about seeing a doctor in the US. So once you have an insurance or not and you want to see a doctor, that's also a kind of an adventure, because you never know how much they will charge you. I asked that a lot of time in advance and they said, we don't know. So the way it goes is that a few weeks later you just receive a random invoice. And I have even been to a place where I have received 3 invoices for the same appointment. One for using the facilities, one from the doctor, one from saying hi to, I don't know, someone. I don't even have a clue. And it's not transparent at all. So every time I see a doctor, I'm just hoping the invoices are not gonna be, I don't know, super high and my insurance is covering at least for part of it. Okay? But if you would like to know more about that specific topic, let me know. I can always upload another video. Okay, to sum up what we talked about today, I sat down and I did the math. Let's say you are a family of 4 like us and you want to live in a fairly average house somewhere near Boston, in the Boston neighborhood. The rent will be $4,500 easily per month. That makes $54,000 for your rent per year. You have added another $29,000 for your family insurance if your company is not covering for that, and food will be $200 times 52. That makes $10,000. In total, we have $88,181, and that number doesn't even include costs for schools, which are incredibly high. I will talk about that in my next video. Costs for clothing or any kind of activities and sports. Okay, now I will give you a little bit of time to digest those numbers. Feel free to leave me a comment, ask me a question, whatever. Thanks for watching and auf Wiedersehen.